Welcome to today's Matrix tip and trick. Today we're going to talk about the speed bar in Matrix. The speed bar is just really another way to search. Most of us are familiar with the standard fill in the blank search where we fill in our search criteria, and some of us have advanced into the map searching. But Matrix brings in another way to search using this bar that you see across the top of your page. And that little bar called the speed bar is available anywhere you are in the Matrix system. So if you happen to be in a different tab, that speed bar will also be available. It's just not available only on the home page. So what can that speed bar do for you, and how can that make your life a little bit easier? Well, first of all, the speed bar is kind of used as a way to ask a question and get an answer. That simplifies it a little bit, but hopefully you'll see what I mean by that. So the speed bar is one way that you can very quickly and easily call up a property by typing in the MLS number. Type in the number, hit enter, and it'll call up that property for you. Now, if you've got multiple property numbers that you want to pull up, obviously you could put a comma or a space there, and you could call up multiple properties at one time using the speed bar. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's nice, but I can also do that here under my little search widget by typing in the MLS number there. And that's correct. But what happens if you're not on the home page? Do you have to go back? No, you can just use the speed bar, remember, anywhere in the system. So that's the first way we want to look at things. The second way is this is another great way you can do an agent search, or what we call a roster search. Now, again, we know that we can go to search and we have the ability to search for an agent there, but that requires a couple of extra steps. I think it's a lot easier just to go to the speed bar, type in AG, which is the code we use for an agent lookup, and then type in the last name of the agent you want to find. Hit enter, and that'll bring up a search of all the agents whose last name starts with Smith. At this point, I can then simply click on any MLS number and see that individual agent, including their contact information, whether it's their email address, whether it's the company website, phone numbers, things like that. So it's a quick way to do a roster search if you need to do it using that speed bar. Again, it saves a couple extra steps than going into search, going down to agent search, and then once again going in and again typing that same information in there. Just try to find some shortcuts for you moving forward. You can also look up offices by typing in OFF, which is the code for office. Type in the office name, hit enter, and you can call up the office, including clicking on the office ID and again, getting information about that office if you need to contact that office for whatever reason. So those are some real simple things so far. An MLS number or numbers lookup, an agent lookup, and an office lookup. Another thing that you can do using the speed bar is you can do an open house search. Now, keep in mind that if you go to search and you go down to more on the list and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the ability to do an open house search down there. Again, that's a lot of clicks in my mind. It's a lot easier to just find this little speed bar, type in OH, which is a code for open house, space, and type in the date that you want to look for open houses. If you type in 0, that's going to show you the open houses that are happening today. But if you type in a particular date, and I'll type in 4/4 of 2015 here, hit enter, and now I can see all the open houses that are happening on that particular day. And just like the functionality in Matrix is, you can click on the MLS number, see the property that is having that particular open house on that day. You can also sort the column by the city. So if you wanted to see all the open houses in Broken Arrow that are happening out there, you could select them. And then at the bottom of the screen, you could go ahead and print that open house search out if you wanted to. You also could get your driving directions to go to those open houses that are happening on that particular day. And you can also, of course, map them by clicking on the map icon to see where all the open houses are happening. So again, it's just a quick way to do an open house search by typing in OH and then the particular day that you're looking for. The third thing that makes the speed bar very valuable, instead of just doing simple searches like I did, is you can also go ahead and do a search using some simple search criteria. Here's an example. I want to look for all the active properties, space, residential, space houses that happen to be in Broken Arrow. So think about that question and answer concept. Here's the question. I want to know what active residential houses are available in Broken Arrow. Type that in the speed bar, hit enter, and your answer is 589 of them. So question and answer. But that's still a pretty broad search. We've got a lot of properties here. We want to narrow that a little bit. If we put in a price range, put in the dollar sign, type in $350,000 to $400,000, hit enter. Now we're down to 33. So we've narrowed that down a little bit. But there's more. If we want to look for, let's say, properties that have 3 or more bedrooms, 3 plus, hit enter, and we're still at 33. But if we go to 3 plus for total number of bathrooms, now we go down to 28. So as we continue to build our string or our search criteria, of course, our search results are going to be narrowed down. And then there's another option that you can do also. You can do square footage. So if I want to see everything with 3,000 plus, and remember in Matrix, if you're doing a range, you put the dash. If you're doing more, you put the plus. If you're doing less, you put the minus. And if you want the exact number, you put the exact number. So 3,000 and plus, space SQFT, and now that brings us down to 27 properties. So simple search criteria like prices, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footages, cities, property types, and statuses and property subtypes is what I put in that search string in the speed bar, and I come up with my answer of 27 properties. Now, of course, I could have done that in a normal search form. I could have gone in and gone to each one of those fields and typed in that field the information that I want. But I sometimes find it a lot easier just to type one time with all the information that I want and get the answers a lot quicker. Now, the speed bar, of course, has limitations. It can't do everything. You can't search for an in-ground pool in the speed bar. All of the shortcuts that I talked about, whether it's AG for agent or OH for open house, all those shortcuts can be found by clicking on the question mark by the speed bar. And when you click on the question mark, that little help file will explain what the speed bar is, and it'll give you some tips and tricks. So basically the speed bar is a bunch of simple codes you enter, and it translates those codes into your search. In other words, question and answer. We've provided you with some help screen here to say, keep it simple, case doesn't matter, combine your codes in any order except bedrooms and bathrooms always have to be in that order. And if you look when I typed in here, I put 3 plus, 3 plus. In other words, I was saying 3 or more bedrooms, 3 or more total bathrooms. The rest of the order doesn't make any difference. Just bedrooms and bathrooms always have to be next to each other in that order. Put spaces, not commas, between them. And then we give you the examples that you can use. MLS numbers, statuses, property types, cities. And remember, if you're typing in a city like Broken Arrow, you do have to put the city together as I did right here. And we explain that to you in the help file. Price, bedrooms, bathrooms, approximate square feet, open house, office search, agent search. I showed you all of those in the example today. Then we give you some examples on how to combine them in case you are having some difficulty doing that in your initial test of the speed bar, if you will. Now, the speed bar is a great tool if you're using Matrix on a desktop or a laptop, or better yet, even a tablet, because if you think about how a tablet works, and remember, Matrix looks exactly like the desktop and laptop version on your tablet. Think about being able to tap in that text box, which is a speed bar, tap once, type once, and not have to go to a search form and tap, type, tap, type, tap, type. Now, you may already know that if you call up Matrix on a smartphone, you do get the mobile version of Matrix, which looks something like this. Keep in mind that on the mobile version on your smartphone, notice there's also a speed bar on the top here. So what I did on my laptop, my desktop, or my tablet, I can also recreate on my smartphone. And here again are those same open houses that I pulled up using the same codes for the 4th of April. So the speed bar is just that. It's a way to put information in in the one box called the speed bar and get your answers or information sometimes a little bit quicker than what you normally could in a search form. Now, when you do have, in this case, your 27 results and you have to add that additional criteria in that the speed bar is not capable to do, just simply use the speed bar to get your search first, like I did here, then go to the bottom of the screen, go back to your criteria, and add in anything else that the speed bar does not allow you to do. Maybe you need to look for an in-ground pool. Choose that criteria, rerun your search, and now you're down to 6. So you did, 90% of the work in the speed bar, and then you just had to go back and do 5% of the work in your normal search form. Speed bar may not be for everybody, but maybe it's for you. Give it a try, see if it can't make your life a little bit easier. And the speed bar, that is today's Matrix tip and trick.